Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome to this video, guys. My name is Liaquat Zaman. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day, enjoying yourselves. Right, this is Mukhtasar al-Qudoori. We have reached the chapter of Salam, which is what we call forward sales. Without any delay, let's start. So today there are about 8 lines here. So the reason I can't do more is because then if I do more, the mas'ala is all connected. So it's going to end up being 15 lines then. That's going to make the video very, very long. So without really kind of taking too much time, Salam, it means a forward sale. Right, so this is what we call forward sale. Right, so a forward sale is called Salam sale. Okay, so then you have Jaiz, which obviously means permitted, permissible. Makilat, things that are measured in cups. Yeah, so measure in cups. And then mawzunat, things that are weighed. Okay, so to weigh. And then ma'dudat are things that are counted. Okay, so makilat, mawzunat, ma'dudat. Now makilat is from kail, kaf ya lam. Mawzunat is from wazan, wazana. And ma'dudat is from adad, okay, number. And all of these are what we call ism maf'uls. Okay, so ism maf'uls. So allati la tatafawat. Tatafawat means to fluctuate. Okay, so fluctuate. My writing is a bit messed up today. Let me just see. Okay, let me see if I can make this a bit bigger. Okay, that's a bit better now. So kal jawzi. So jaws. These are nuts, jaws. So nuts, or more specifically walnuts. Okay, walnuts. Bayt is eggs. Eggs. Madru'at is something which is measured by length. Right, so something which is measured by dhira', which means yards, cubits. Okay, salam. La yajuzu salam fil haywan. You know what that means? Animal. Atraf, it means the animal's legs. Okay, the atraf, the sides of the animal. Julud, it means animal's hide, skin. Okay, so skin. Adadan is a number. Hatab means wood. And huzam, it means a bunch. Ratba, so ratba means vegetables. Okay, so vegetables. Juruzan means a bunch as well. Okay, so bunch of vegetables. La yajuz salam hatta yakun al-muslim fihi. Now, in salam, right, one thing you have to understand is when you have, let's say, two people, like normally in a trade, you have a buyer and a seller, isn't it? So in salam, you actually have the seller is actually called Muslim ilayhi. Okay, Muslim ilayhi. And the goods that he's selling to you, let's say for example, he's selling a washing machine to you. That washing machine normally is called a mabit, isn't it? But in salam, it's called a Muslim fihi. Okay, just remember that. So the seller is the Muslim ilayhi, right? So the Muslim fihi is rather Muslim fihi is the goods. Yeah, the Muslim fihi. So the guy is called the Muslim ilayhi. So mawjudan means present. Hina means time. Aqad is contract. Mahal, it means location. Yeah, so location. Or mahal can also mean the time of location, the time when it's supposed to occur. La yasihu salam mu'ajjalan. Mu'ajjal means deferred. Defer. Right, so to defer or to delay, rather, let's say. Got to be delayed. وَلَا يَجُوزُ إِلَّا بِأَجَل, and it has to be on a date. Ajal means date. Ma'loom, known. Mikyal is basically a cup of measure from the word kail. Rajul man bi'aynihi means specific. Okay, so specific. Dhira', it means like the cubit. Qarya is a village. Thamara is fruit. Nakhla, okay, you got that. Alright, so now let's look at the tarkeeb side of it. Alright, so let's do tarkeeb. So, Babu as-salami hadha Babu salam. Now, we're going to do salam in 3 parts. Okay, so this is part 1 basically. As-salamu mubtada. Jaizun is going to be the khabar. في المكيلات والموزونات والمعدودات التي لا تتفاوت. يتفاوت يتفاوت تفاوتا is going to be the fi'l. كالجوز, all these are عطف في المذروعات. ولا يجوز السلم فاعل في الحيوان جار مجرور في أطرافه. ولا في الجلود عددا. عددا is going to be مفعول مفعول تمييز rather. عدد تمييز. ولا في الحطب حزما again تمييز. ولا في الرطب أو رطبة جرزا. ولا يجوز السلم حتى يكون المسلم فيه موجودا is the خبر of يكون من حين العقد إلى حين المحل. ولا يصح السلم إلا مؤجلا. ولا يجوز إلا بأجل معلوم. ولا يجوز السلم بمكيال رجل مضاف مضاف إليه بعينه. ولا بذراع رجل بعينه. ولا في طعام قرية بعينها. ولا ثمرة ثمرة رادة مضاف نخلة بعينها. Okay, right, let's look at the mas'ala here now. What is this mas'ala talking about? So, for instance, let's say, what is salam all about? So, salam is basically kind of like an ordering system, right? So, it's like, imagine like order. So, technically, salam should not be allowed because what's happening is one guy is giving his money, right? So, you got this one guy who's going to be giving this guy advance payment, right? So, this is called the Ra'sul Mal, okay? They call this the Ra'sul Mal, the capital. So, he's giving an advance payment. You have to give it in advance. And the goods on the other side, the goods. So let's say, for example, he wants to get apples. So he wants apples. I don't know how many apples does he want. He wants, how am I doing that for? He wants 100 kg of apples. That's what he's ordering. So he's pre-ordered this now. And he's pre-ordered it on a particular date. So for example, like he wants it on the 1st of July. 1st of July, that's the date that he wants. That's the date that he wants it on. And let's say, for example, today is the 1st of March. Okay, it's the 1st of March. So the seller has all that time to grow the apples. And have them ready for that particular date. The seller is called the Muslim ilayhi, the guy to whom the money is being handed over. Salam is like handing over. So you're handing over this money over here. Okay, this money is being handed over to this individual over here, to the Muslim ilayhi. And on the 1st of July, he has promised that he will have all of this ready. Right, this is called salam. Alright, that's the whole thing salam is about. Technically, salam should not be allowed because in a bayt, there has to be mubadalatul mali bil mali bit taradi. So that means that the goods should be ready on the same date that the deal is done. But this was allowed by the Prophet ﷺ because there was a big need for it by farmers. Farmers, in order to grow things, need money advance to buy seeds and to buy all that kind of stuff. That's why it's been allowed. So in usul, we call it istihsan. Okay, istihsan is where the rule is normally broken. So when a rule is normally broken because of a greater piece of evidence, you call this istihsan. Now you've understood how salam works. Salam, if you want to read more about this, I would definitely suggest looking into how salam, parallel salam works. Salam works in Islamic finance institutes. So Islamic finance institutes, they utilize salam to make money. Although this is not really kind of something which works very straightforward. There's quite a lot of rules attached to it. One of the best books I've seen which explains it very well, there's a Sheikh Wahab al-Zuhaili in his Fiqh al-Islam wa Adillatuhu, al-Fiqh al-Islami wa Adillatuhu. Right? Someone's translated the section to do with financial transactions into English. Right? If you can get hold of that, it's in 2 volumes. I've actually got, yeah, I'll show you the copy I got. Right, so this is my copy I've got mashallah, was gifted to me by one of my best friends. Right, so this is 2 volumes, quite thick, 2 thick volumes, but it's very good if you want to understand, and English is very nice as well. And if you want to read a smaller book, which is a bit more condensed, you got Mufti Taqi Usmani's Islamic Finance. Yeah, so it's called Islamic Finance. Islamic Finance. So it's a very nice book, very good to read if you can read that. Anyway, so let's get back to this then. So Babu Salam, this is called the concept of forward sale. It's forward because you pay up front and then your sale, your goods are going to come to you on a later date. So he says, As-salamu, salam, yeah, jaizun fil makilati wal mawzunat. Yeah, so when it comes to, let me just make this a bit bigger. Size. Okay, so salam is jaiz when it comes to makilat and mawzunat. So makilat, remember, the only way you can really do salam is if this stuff, the muslam fihi, is something which can be demarcated, it can be measured. Yeah, it can be something that's tangible. So you can basically put a number to it. That's why numbers, you can only put to things that can be quantified, like for example cups, yeah, or for example like kilograms, or even things that can be counted that don't really change that much. All right, so for instance, like let's say apples don't really change that much, they're kind of roughly the same size, or things like walnuts, they don't really change that much. So you can do salam in all of these things. In fact, you can even do salam as long as you've got cloth which is all standardized cloth, right? You can even do salam in cloth as well, because it can be measured in cubits, right? So you can place an order for this to be made. So he says salam is allowed in ma'dudat, things that can be counted, allati la tatafawut. It has to be something which doesn't change that much. So he says like Joe's and bathe. Like this, for example, you have a business and you need 100 kilos or 200 kilos of walnuts, or you need, 500 eggs you need. Now, eggs are slightly different. Not each one is not exactly the same, but that's okay. That amount of difference people overlook. They don't really bother too much about that. That's why cups, you can order in cups, you can order in kilos, you can order in something counted and also measured in cubits. Fil madru'at. Now, you can't order something which is non-fungible. All these things are considered to be fungible items. I was waiting for you guys to say fungible, but I'll beat you to it. Yeah, so, and the reason why fungible is because they are easily, you can measure them, you can weigh them, specified, they can be quantified. Okay, what about animals? Can you do salam in animals? Can I say I want 2 cows by the 1st of July or 5 cows? No, you cannot do that. You are not permitted to do salam in animals. La yajuzu as-salam fil haywan. You cannot do salam in haywan. Why is this for? Because animals are all going to be different. I can order a cow, but then when it comes, it might be weak, it might be strong, it might be old, young, ill, so many issues. So because animals are non-fungible, you cannot do salam in them, yeah, because they're not measurable. Wala fi atrafihi, nor can you do salam in the animal's legs and animals' things. Like for example, on the 1st of July, I want 5 cow legs, right? Because the legs are going to be different slightly. One's going to be bigger, one's going to be smaller. So this is why you can't. But if you can get an animal, like roughly, let's say chickens or something, which are not really going to change that much. There's not going to be much difference in the meat. Then that's possible. That is, as long as you can quantify it. That's the main thing. Wala fil juludi adadan. Nor can you do salam in animal skins in number. You can't say I want 20 cow skins, because that cow size and the quality of the skin and all of these things are not something that you can, right? So you can't do it in animals. You can't do it in animals' hind legs. You can't do it in animal skin in number. But in weight, possibly you can do it or measure. Wala fil hatab. You can't do it in wood as well. Let's say you say, you know what, I want 50 blocks of wood. I want 50 barks of a tree. Yeah, huzman. Huzman means like in a bunch. Yeah, so a bunch is basically like if you got like wood, and then you wrap it up with a cloth. That's called huzm. Yeah, huzm. So let me actually see if I can find for you guys an image. Okay, so basically like this. Yeah, you see this? Wood, like that. Yeah, bunched up together. But if they are measured, then it's fine. Yeah, so if you can measure them, then no problem. So you cannot do it in wood in that fashion. Wala fi ratbati juruzan. So ratba is like bunches of parsley or bunches of spring onions, things like that. So you cannot do it in that too as well. So for instance, let's have a look. Okay, so for example, like over here, you see these like carrots all bunched together and these kind of things bunched together. Yeah. So that's basically when we say bunched together, you can't have that. So the point, or what's the khulasa of all this? The khulasa of all this is you can't have salam in anything that cannot be quantified. Because it's going to lead to an argument, isn't it? Like this guy might buy an animal and then turn around and say, oh, look at the animal you gave me. That wasn't the one that I wanted. He's go, well, tough. You just said animal. But if it happens with these things, makilat, mawzunat, ma'dudat, there isn't really going to be much of an argument because the measurement is going to be quite precise. All right, next. وَلَا يَجُوزُ. And then he says, you are not permitted. وَلَا يَجُوزُ السَّلَمْ حَتَّى يَكُونَ الْمُسْلَمْ فِيهِ موجودا من حين العقد إلى حين المحل. So he's saying, you know the dates. If I was to write this out again, so let's say for example the 1st of March all the way up to the 1st of July. From the 1st of March, from this exact date, yeah. Should have made this a bit bigger. See better. Yeah, so from the 1st of March all the way up to July, there has to exist the item that you want, has to exist in the markets. So if, for example, let's say it's apples, I love hot apples, yeah, the apples must exist in the market, meaning obviously when you're going to grow it, you're going to grow it from a seed on that day, and then the seed's going to go bigger and bigger and bigger until it becomes like a full apple. But from this day, there has to exist in the markets apples, meaning that if it does not exist, then there's a good chance on the 1st of July that business will that transaction will be nullified. Yeah, will not be able to fulfill. The guy won't be able to fulfill his promise. So that's why he's saying, the Hanafi say that yakunu, it has to be mawjudan, it has to be mawjud, present, min hin al-aqd, from the day of the contract, ila hin al-mahal, until the day of, or the time of the mahal, meaning the place or the time when the goods are supposed to be delivered. Okay, then he says, وَلَا يَصِحُ السَّلَمُ إِلَّا مُؤَجَّلًا. Salam is not permitted unless it is deferred, unless it's delayed. It has to be delayed to a later date. You can't give salam on the spot the next day. There has to be a certain amount of time. So some Hanafis say 1 month, some say more, but there has to be a certain amount of time between this date, between this date and between this date. There has to be a time in between this. That's what he's saying. Otherwise, it's not called salam. All right, next. Then he says, وَلَا يَجُوزُ إِلَّا بِأَجَلٍ مَعْلُومٍ. And this date that you give over here has to be something that is been specified. Ma'loom. You can't say, I'll give it to you the next time it snows. I'll get it delivered to you the next time, I don't know, my brother goes for Hajj. Yeah, when is my brother going Hajj? I don't know. Right, so you can't do that. لَا يَجُوزُ إِلَّا بِأَجَلٍ مَعْلُومٍ. Salam is not permitted unless there is a known date of delivery. Okay. Next, then he says, وَلَا يَجُوزُ السَّلَمُ بِمِكْيَالِ رَجُلٍ. Salam is not allowed with a man's unique measure, unique cup. Let's say, for example, there's a guy. This guy, he says to people, look, I will give you this special cup that no one in the world has got. I'm going to call this cup my cup. Yeah, this is my cup. And my cup, I'll give you 100 of these cups of rice by the 1st of July. That's not allowed. Why is that not allowed? Because what's the chances of from here all the way up to here something happening to that cup and getting destroyed, damaged? If that cup gets damaged and there's no other cup like this in the world, that means that the trade will be off. Yeah, the guy's lost his business. So this is why it says لا يجوز, it's not permitted to do salam بمكيال رجل, with a kale, with a cup of a man specifically, like a specific measure. However, if this guy has a cup and there's loads of other cups like this in the world, or he can make another one, and it's fine, it won't really make much of a difference, then it's okay. Likewise, لا يجوز بذراع رجل بعينه. You can't do it if this guy says, according to my arm's measure. Yeah, so he's got an arm, so this is fingers. You guys like my drawing, and this is his arm. Yeah, so see this arm over here. This arm, right? So it's basically from here all the way up to here. That's a cubit. It's about 50 centimeters or so. Now, if this cubit of his is unique, his unique arm, right? Then what's going to happen is, if this arm gets damaged or broken or something, cut off, then he won't be able to measure the cloth on that day. But if the standard is standardized, like if he knows the measure of his arm and he knows exactly that it's 50 centimeters, then it's fine, because now 50 centimeters is something that can be specified. Okay, so again, this is permissible. وَلَا فِي طَعَامِ قَرْيَةٍ بِعَيْنِهَا. And it's not allowed to make an order of a fruit that only exists in a particular village. So let's say he says, look, I want apples, and this is the village. We call this village LZ village, the LZ village. In this LZ village, there are these beautiful apple trees, and they only produce this certain type of apple. Right? Why can't you do it with a specific? Because maybe in that village, in this period of time, there might come a freak weather storm and it might destroy everything. Then what's going to happen? Then you lost all your crop, all your goods. So therefore you can't. Yes, if that village is known for that fruit, but that fruit also exists in other villages out there. Yeah. So it exists in AZ village and it exists in SZ village and other places, then it's fine. Yeah, because the idea is the chances of being able to provide that. And the last one, وَلَا ثَمَرَةِ نَخْلَةٍ بِعَيْنِهَا. Nor can the guy ask for the fruit of a specific tree. Yeah, like dates of a specific tree. The guy goes, on the 1st of July, I want the dates from this tree. Yeah, we're going to call this tree the special tree. This is the special tree. The special tree over here is the one that I want and nothing else. Again, what's the chances of there becoming a freak weather storm, destroying all of these? Quite good. So that's why you can't do this. It has to be something that's widespread. It's in the markets existing. Okay, and that's it. So let's just summarize what we have over here then. All right, and then inshallah. So, okay, so he says, what is salam, guys? Explain to me what salam is. Salam is where one person, he gives the money up front and then he puts an order in for a specific date of a specific amount of goods. Next lesson, we're going to learn about how to put that order in. Right? Ikhtilaf between Abu Hanifa and between Sahibain. So he puts an order in of 100 kilos and then on that specific date, he gets the stuff. And you can do it in makil, mawzoon, ma'dud and madru'at. Why? Because all these can be quantified. Okay, why can't you do salam in animals or animals' legs or animal skin, etc.? The reason is because these things can't be quantified. They can't be specifically measured. It's going to cause fights. Yeah, so that's why you can't do it in there. Okay, can you do salam in something even though that product doesn't really exist at that time? No, you can't. It has to exist somewhere, somehow. There has to be like a supply of it somewhere. In order for, on the 1st of July, it can be supplied, it can be delivered. Can you do salam the next day? No, you can't. Salam has to be done over a period of time. Yeah, so Hanafi say there has to be a period of time between the date of the order and the date of delivery. And can you do salam on a specific measure? No, you can't. It has to be a measure that's universal, that people can replicate. Okay, and that's it, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson. It's a bit shorter than normal, but alhamdulillah, inshallah, once you understand the concept of salam, then it's good. Now, in Islamic finance institutes, they actually use salam to do buying and selling. I'll show you how they do that. So basically what they'll try and do is maybe they might order, let's say, for example, apples, right? So they have this period of time. This is the period of time from the 1st to the 1st, they make an order. And then just before they actually get that order delivered, they'll do salam with someone else on another date, and then they'll sell them for a higher price. So let's say, for example, I bought apples for £100 for the apples. Yeah, I want £100 for, let's say, 200 apples. Yeah. So what happens is, once that date comes, I can actually now, because I'm going to get those apples on that day, I can sell those apples through a salam myself. I can do a double salam, a second salam, and I can become the guy who promises that he'll give it on this date. Let's say, for example, this date is the 1st of December, and this date is whatever that date is, right? I can provide those on that date. So I can sell them. I can say, look, I can provide apples for you for £200, because that's like a season where you're not going to get apples. £200 for 200 apples. Right, so see what you've done? You profited already. £100 profit you made by you providing a second salam to another customer. So initially you're the customer. There's another guy who's the Muslim ilayhi. But then you've become the Muslim ilayhi because you're providing it to other people. Right, so this is like what they call parallel salaming taking place. Alright guys, Jazakumullah khair. Thank you to all my patrons, wonderful, beautiful people you are. May Allah bless all of you and keep you healthy and safe from all hardships and difficulties. If anyone wants to become patrons, support my channel in any shape and form, please check out the description below. It means a lot to me. I will see you guys next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.